Hello, in this video I want to tell you what's, in my opinion, the best argument for the existence of God. But when I tell you what's the argument, I also want to tell you why I ultimately disagree with this argument. Which shouldn't be that surprising given the fact that I'm an atheist actually. And I decided to do this video because I realized that in my previous video it wasn't clear what was my actual take on this topic. So this argument that I'm about to tell you was originally formulated by the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, Lewis C.S. or C.S. Lewis. So he calls it an argument from desire. So why do so many people desire God if there is no such thing? And the best version of this argument is a civilizational version. Why is it that almost all cultures around the world believed in gods? Why was it so evolutionary useful to believe in God, given the fact that it's an illusionary belief, given the fact that there is no God? That should be a problem for atheists. Then why is it so useful to believe in God if there is no God? It's usually more useful to know the truth. That's the basic premise of this argument. And yeah, there is something very convincing in this argument, but ultimately I disagree with this argument. So let me now give you the counter argument. While it is true that all civilizations believed in God, they did not believe in the same God. So even if we accept this argument, it still leaves us with a mystery, and that is, what God should we believe in? Is it Zeus? Is it the Christian God, the Muslim God? Is it some Hindu God, perhaps? Or Zoroastrian God? It's not clear. And okay, I do agree that some atheists often exaggerate atheism or agnosticism in the Roman Empire. To say that the Roman Empire was atheistic or agnostic is not really true. I mean, the Roman Emperor was the priest of Jupiter. Now, it's not like all people in the Roman Empire really believed in Jupiter, but they still needed to sacrifice animals to Jupiter as a sign of patriotism, one could say, which is why the Christians were a problem. They refused to sacrifice animals to Jupiter. Then, okay, while it is true that all civilizations had religion, a question that one needs to ask is, did they benefit in the long run from having that particular religion? I mean, let's look at the Aztecs and at the Mayans. They were so obsessed with killing people and sacrificing people to their bloodthirsty gods that they ended up demographically destroying each other. So yeah, maybe they had, let's say, a higher birth rate than the super liberal atheist parts of the world, but yeah, they ended up killing too many of their own, and yeah, that's why they were easily conquered by the Spanish in the end. Then, okay, there is also another argument, or I should say a counter argument, that says, well, many bad things actually worked throughout history, like slavery for thousands of years was practiced by all cultures, not just by Western cultures. The Islamic Caliphate was famous for having slaves. Then there is the Atlantic slave trade. Yeah, so just because something is common, that doesn't make it good. That's also important to note. And finally, well, our modern civilization, in some ways, yeah, it is pretty crazy. The fact that we have, for example, such a low birth rate, that there is a crisis of meaning that maybe was not present before. But our civilization is also so much different from all other civilizations that existed before. It's not just that now, in this present day, in many cultures and areas of the world, atheism is becoming the number one religion. So that's not the only thing that's different. We should not therefore ascribe all the bad things that occur in modern society to atheism. That's not really logical. There are so many other differences that also make our society much better, and one could argue in some ways much worse. For example, that our civilization, now I'm talking about highly urbanized, industrialized area of the world, the global civilization in a way, it is a very urbanized environment. So people rarely had such a high percentage of people living in urbanized areas. Also, we have automatization, we have robots, we have the internet, the ability to explore space. So all of that makes our civilization very different from all other civilizations. So it could be the case that we therefore simply do not need to have the same things that those previous civilizations had, like religions, because we have technology that nobody else had, like the internet, like space exploration, architecture that previously would have been unimaginable. Today we can create such buildings. So yeah, we might be able even to colonize space, which seemed like a utopian, unreachable thing to the people of the past. And yeah, this I find to be maybe the best counter-argument, the fact that our entire life is now so much different from what it used to be. Like back in the day, like I'm not going to say most, but like at least 30% of all children died before the age of 10, like, and many died during childbirth. Okay, finally, let's look at communism as an example of, I would say, the only civilization that was atheistic in a militant way, like not just agnostic, but that was anti-theistic even. Now, okay, I should emphasize that most people in communist societies were actually religious. Like most people in the Soviet Union were Christian. Most people in China were either Confucianist or Buddhist. But okay, what makes those civilizations unique is that if you look at the people in power, they were atheistic, anti-theistic elites even. That is what makes communism a bit crazy and unique in history. The only comparable regime is the Jacobin regime of the French Revolution. But despite all the horrible things that the communist regimes have done, like they killed millions, they starved their own people due to not understanding biology and agriculture, like Mao Zedong ordering the peasants to kill all the sparrows, and then that led to massive famines, and in combination with some other factors, 38 million people died as a result. But also, even so, despite communism being so crazy, communism also did some uniquely good things. And by the way, I'm not justifying all the horrible things that were done. I just want to say, look, even this crazy anti-theistic civilization, like Maoist China or like the Stalin's Soviet Union, they even did some uniquely good things. Like they helped every single anti-colonial movement on this earth to get free. Now, they did not do it purely out of altruism, out of kindness of their heart, but they did end up doing it. While Hitler, on the other hand, he never helped anti-colonial movements in such a way that they would end up getting freedom for themselves. Hitler just wanted to conquer British colonies for himself, while Stalin and Mao actually didn't. They just wanted to turn those colonies into their economic and military allies. Like Stalin never conquered Vietnam in a way in which the Japanese Empire did. So they genuinely liberated those colonies, the communist regimes. They also had some of the highest demographic growth in history, despite killing millions of their own people, which kind of is impressive. And also, yeah, the Soviets were the first that went to space. Now, this doesn't mean that that excuses Stalin and Khrushchev for being against the freedom of speech and all of that stuff, but yeah, I just want to say even the crazy anti-theistic civilizations that existed were not all bad. And in fact, okay, they existed for 70 years. That might not be that long, but for a while they were pretty stable. Like Archie Brown argues, until digital technology was invented and until the Soviets engaged in the war in Afghanistan and Ethiopia, the Soviet regime was actually kind of pretty stable. Between World War II and the late 1980s, the Soviet regime was actually very stable. Yeah, I mean, not to mention that is Putin's Russia stable is also a good question, but yeah, that's a topic for another video. So, okay, don't forget to like, share and subscribe if you liked this video.